Hi, welcome back to Blanchy Talks Watches. Today for review we have the Momentum Aeromax in Titanium. This watch is 45mm wide, excluding the crown. It has a 52mm lug to lug length, which is quite large. It's only 12mm thick, which is nice on such a large watch. The 52mm coupled with the 45mm width is quite large, but being titanium, it is extremely light, so that does help with the comfort while wearing it. The crystal is sapphire. It is a flat crystal, and the crown is screwed down. That helps with the water resistance, which is 200 meters on this watch. So it's not your normal type of watch you'd consider to be a dive watch, but it does have the specs to back it up. The strap on this watch is Italian leather. There's a perforated design. Kind of harks back to the vintage rally style straps almost. Okay, quite well worn. 22mm. And the eagle-eyed viewers might notice it appears to be slightly small for the case, but that is entirely my fault. I've been wearing this strap on a 20mm lug width watch, so it's just a little bit pinched. I don't normally wear the strap on this watch. It is a nice strap though. It's good quality leather. You can feel it in it. It's comfortable to wear, and most people that have reviewed this watch have all commented how it is a very comfortable strap, which I do agree with. The perforations mean that there is nice airflow through it, so it's not too bad for the summer. And as well for diving, the idea is it should dry out quicker. The case back then is engraved, just with the specs really. It says Samura's watch code there, Vancouver, Canada. So Momentum is under Samura's, I believe. It's a bit tricky when you look into the history of it. There's a couple of different brands, but I couldn't find clear definition of where it starts and ends. But Momentum seems to be assembled anyway in Vancouver, Canada. I like caseback engravings. I'm not a huge fan when it's just the specs listed out like this, but yeah, it's fine. Screw down back, obviously, with the notches here. This watch was also available with a rubber strap or titanium bracelet. Personally, if I was buying this watch new, I definitely would have gone for the titanium bracelet. In general, with watches, if the options are a strap or a bracelet, you should go for the bracelet to match the watch. Straps are a lot easier to pick up aftermarket than bracelets. So obviously I have the leather strap version of this. It is quite nice, but I think it will be nicer again with a matching bracelet. It's very hard to find a titanium bracelet to match it perfectly. So this watch was originally available in 2010. It's a long time out of production now, but it still looks quite modern, and I think it's a fine for an everyday wearer watch. This was marketed towards the outdoorsy holiday kind of market. Specifically, they do mention scuba diving for this watch and other watches from the brand. I wouldn't be personally scuba diving with any watch with a leather strap, so again, the titanium bracelet or the rubber strap option would have been better for that. But as I said before, the perforations in the strap would help it dry out if you did decide to go for a dip. With the 200-meter water resistance, it is more than capable of recreational diving, and you wouldn't have any issues there. This watch has a Japanese quartz movement, and obviously the date indicator there at the 3. I couldn't find out exactly what movement this watch has, but I believe it's one of the Miyota series. I just couldn't find out exactly which one. I didn't want to open it up just to risk the water resistance on it. There's a 24-hour indicator at the 9. You can see it here. I not personally a fan of this feature on watches. I think it's a little bit redundant. If you don't know if it's 10 at night or 10 in the morning, you have more to worry about than looking at your watch. As for a holiday watch, the dual time zone feature is very handy. So this is done on a retrograde 24-hour scale at the 6. If I zoom in on that there, you can see it goes from 0 to 24, and once it hits 24, it jumps back to the 0. It's a nice feature. It's an unusual feature. Most dual time watches go for the standard GMT hand, so it is nice to have. As you can see in this, I have the retrograde hands set to the same time zone as I'm in. I don't need to track 2 time zones, so I think it's just a cool feature to have the arm going up in time, and then at midnight it'll snap back to the 0, which is pretty interesting. Another unusual feature on this watch is the pink second hand. I'm not aware of many other watches, or any really, that have a pink second hand. Slightly unusual, but it does kind of feed into the holiday vibe of the watch, which is nice. Okay, we'll put the watch on and see how it fits. So for reference, my wrist is about 7¼ inches. So there we go. It does fit quite nicely. Again, the pinch strap is my own fault. It's not a feature of this. It will spread back out with time. It does fit nicely. 45mm, slightly larger than I usually wear, with 52mm lug to lug. It does fit in the top of my wrist, so it's not overhanging. Being titanium, I can barely feel it. It's super comfortable with the perforated strap. One issue you can have with titanium watches is because they're so light, sometimes they can feel cheap, which is unfortunate because titanium is not as cheap as steel. So the last thing you want is to be paying more money for a watch that feels cheap. I don't have that issue with this watch at all. While it feels quite light, it doesn't feel like something you're getting out of a cereal box. You know it's a proper quality watch. Quality control wise, I've no issues at all with it. It's very nice. I've been wearing this watch for a few years, so it's taken a bit of a beating. One issue you can have with titanium watches is they are susceptible to scratching easier than steel watches. You can see at the top here I have got a couple of nicks in it, and on the case back is a better example. You can see some pretty decent scratches on it here. Thankfully it's on the case back, and I mean, I do take care of my watches, so that's kind of just from putting it down, and must have scratched on something at some point. The ones on the top, they're not very noticeable. There's a very slight one down there at the bottom. Yeah, they do show up a lot more under these lighting conditions than they would in real life. So luckily with this model, it's not too much of an issue with scratching. It has taken a few smacks in my time wearing it, but the main faces are pretty clear. And again, from a distance, without the harsh lighting of the ring light, you're not going to see it. As I've said, this watch is extremely comfortable, and the leather strap is very nice, but being framed as a holiday watch, I like to wear it on a NATO band. This NATO strap was a special edition anniversary model for the International Watch League watch forum. I believe it was the first anniversary of setting up the forum. We commissioned a strap through Cody at Egg Trading Co. So it's nice to have a little token just to remember that time when we set it up. So there you go, IWL International Watch League. The forum's still going. I am on it, not as regular as I used to, but if you're on any forums, pop by and say hello. I do have a thread up there. You can normally find me in the affordables or the military watches collection thread. So on a NATO, I think this really comes to life. This is how the watch has spent most of the years since I got it on this NATO. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of NATO watches, and it's really a personal choice. I do like them to a point. I used to be very much in favour of them. I went off them for a while, went more towards leather, but now back on them on some watches. Once you find the right watch, a NATO strap is lovely. There is the advantage of, if you did break a spring bar, you're not going to lose your watch. It'll still be caught on by one of them on the pass-through, which is always nice for something that is marketed as a holiday watch, an outdoorsy watch. It's nice just to have that little bit of extra security if you were going hiking and you did take a tumble or something, caught the watch on something. You're not going to lose the watch. You might lose the spring bar, but you're not going to be risking losing your pride and joy. Now, the added advantage of being on a NATO is the NATO weighs nothing, the titanium watch weighs nothing, and this is the only watch in my collection that you do genuinely forget you're wearing a watch when you have it on. You get that little start where you go, did I forget to put a watch on today? And no, it's just incredibly light and incredibly comfortable. I think the grey of the strap pairs perfectly with the brushed titanium finish of the case. And while there's no pink in the strap or yellow on the dial, I think the pink and the yellow complement each other nice and just give it a bit more of an upbeat look than the slightly stifled leather strap. Okay, I'll just knock off the lights and we'll have a quick look at the Loom. Okay, again, it's difficult to catch it, but you can see the hands do glow quite well. The numbers are actually doing themselves, and so are these little pips above the numbers, and they are visible to the naked eye. It's just difficult to pick it up through the camera. Loom, it's not great. I mean, the Loom on the hands is enough to read the watch by, but only just. It's not going to last the whole night. For a watch that's marketed towards scuba divers, I think Loom needs to be a lot brighter for that. So just a couple of criticisms for this watch. I think the Loom needs to be brighter if you're marketing this as a scuba diver's watch. Timing can be very important when you're down there. Obviously you'll be using a dive computer if you are diving, but if you're marketing it as a scuba watch, you need to have great Loom. Other than that, as I've mentioned before, the 24-hour indicator at the 9, it just bothers me. It bothers me on every watch. I don't see the need or point in having it. I think you'd get a cleaner effect if you didn't. Not a massive fan of date on watches in general, but on this one, had it been a black date wheel, I think it'd fit in much better, and it's just kind of sticking out there. I think the watch could be a lot nicer if you'd lost the date and the 24-hour indicator. Just have a lot cleaner look. And one more small thing. This registered trademark mark on the dial. I absolutely hate when companies put a trademark on their dial. What is the point? Who are you trying to stop from using it? And why are you unbalancing the dial by putting that stupid symbol there? It's just a small thing. As you can tell, it annoys me an irrational amount. I do my best to ignore it. It doesn't take away from the watch really, but what was the point in putting it there? I'd be having words with any designer that tried to put that on a watch I was making. Other than that, overall, very comfortable watch. Very happy with it. It's been in my own personal collection for a few years now. It does tend to get more wear in the summertime than the winter. But yeah, it is nice. Again, it's a micro brand, which you may have noticed from a few of my other watches. I do like micro brands. I like the whole concept of a micro brand and just more accessible to the owners and designers and the likes. So thanks very much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think I've made the right choice swapping to the NATO band, or would you have left it on the leather? And if by any chance someone sees a titanium Aeromax strap for sale, let me know, because I've never seen one for sale and I may be interested in picking it up for this. Thanks very much. If you liked it, drop a like, subscribe, comment. Every bit of engagement helps me, and I will see you again.